about tonight. Donald Trump is losing his mind and his hands. He's inventing new ways to do makeup wrong, and he has a dream that one day he will not be judged by the content of the Epstein files. Let's kick things off with distractions. What it looks like when they're fed to the media and what it looks like when they don't work. Because right now, Donald Trump is desperate to move on from the Epstein files, but the story is only building.
There are moments in political history that don't feel like just news, they feel like reckoning. This wasn't some scandal, a fiery speech, or a leaked memo. It was a quiet, brutal moment of truth that exposed Donald Trump in a way no courtroom or congressional hearing ever could. On a stage where most political commentary relies on noise, Josh Johnson arrived like a soft-spoken librarian, and in just 5 minutes, he delivered a blow so precise and calmly lethal that it left Trump's ego bleeding on the studio floor. There was no shouting, no finger-pointing, just the soft hum of logic methodically dismantling a man built entirely on spectacle. If Trump thought he had weathered every storm, he clearly wasn't ready for a takedown that whispered instead of screamed, and somehow hit 10 times harder.
Like held him down, shook him a little bit. We didn't do this one. But while we wait to see if Ghislaine survives this interview, Trump has been doing everything that he can to keep those files under wraps. He's even got his friends in Congress trying to help. Mike Johnson shut down the House just to avoid a vote on the release of the files.
Josh didn't mock Trump with fury. He dismantled him piece by piece, like a broken appliance. Where Trump's world runs on hyperbole, branding, and crowd-pleasing catchphrases, Josh offered none of it. He merely pointed at the lies, the delusions, the grammatical disasters, and let them linger like stale cologne. He didn't call Trump dangerous. He painted him as incompetent, confused, and completely out of his depth. And for a man obsessed with dominance, that kind of portrayal is even more destructive. Because when your power depends on being feared, being quietly laughed at is far worse than being shouted down. This wasn't politics, it was poetic humiliation.
President Trump made big promises about lowering drug prices once he got into office, but all the haters said he was never actually going to get it done. Well, guess what, haters? His promises just got even bigger.
We're going to get the drug prices down, not 30 or 40%, which would be great, not 50 or 60, no. We're going to get them down 1,000%, 600%, 500%, 1,500%. Numbers that are not even thought to be achievable.
Yeah, I also thought it would not be achievable to lower drug prices.
And then came the Epstein files, Trump's ticking time bomb. While the media skirted around it, Josh shoved it into the spotlight with precision. Trump's panic to bury it was glaring. His allies scrambled. His public statements reeked of distraction. But Josh didn't scream. He calmly reminded the audience, Trump's name is there repeatedly, and as old deposition videos resurfaced, Trump's unease became undeniable. You could almost hear the screws come loose as Josh read between the lines. This wasn't speculation. It was raw exposure. The kind that can't be dismissed with a tweet. And the worst part? The silence that followed. Because in this context, silence sounds a lot like guilt.
Just so you understand, lowering drug prices 100% means it's free. Lowering it past that means they're going to give you money. Next year's Forbes billionaires list is just going to be a bunch of dudes with leukemia. Okay? On the bright side, we're actually going to be bankrupting insurance companies instead of the other way around. You know, if Trump had enacted this sooner, that CEO would have shot Luigi.
Where most comedians go for laughs, Josh Johnson went for clarity. He didn't need to exaggerate Trump's absurdity. It's already part of the man's legacy. A leader who stared into an eclipse, pitched bleach as a cure, and can't spell origins. Josh lined up these moments like a surgeon preparing for an operation. No smirks, no theatrics, just an unshakable, dry delivery that transformed laughter into discomfort. and discomfort into realization. This wasn't satire. It was psychological demolition. The audience didn't just laugh. They paused. They processed. Because when truth is this ridiculous, it doesn't need jokes. It needs a mirror. And Josh held that mirror up to Trump's face.
Trump actually does have a plan here. It's not to put a cap on the drug prices. That'd be too easy and simple.
We're working very hard right now to get the other countries to lift up their prices a little bit and to get the drug companies to put it to them. And if they don't, the drug companies will have a lot of problems, and they are mostly agreed to it. And if the countries don't, then as an example, if it's Europe, I'll say that's okay. You're no longer allowed to sell cars.
Trump's public unraveling didn't come with fireworks. It came with a sigh. A sigh from a man who looked like he was about to explain a billing error, but instead ended a political career. Josh didn't need punchlines. He just quoted Trump, the lies about drug prices, the tariffs, the made-up stats, the contradictions. Trump bragged about lowering prices by 1,000%, a mathematical impossibility so absurd even Fox News flinched. And Josh, expressionless, translated that madness into crystal clarity. Suddenly, Trump's showmanship turned to absurdity. This wasn't a takedown. It was a slow deflation. The air left the room. The myth of Trump, strongman and genius, popped under harsh fluorescent lights.
That they clear Congress out for the summer like they found a dookie in the pool. But trying to shut down the release of the files only makes them more interesting. So over the last week, Trump has been throwing every distraction he can at us. And I want to go through some of them to show you how desperate he's getting. Let's start with his go-to distraction. Obama!
The witch hunt that you should be talking about is they caught President Obama.
Trump has always thrived on noise. The louder the headlines, the easier it is for him to dodge accountability. But Josh weaponized silence. Each sentence chipped away at Trump's carefully curated delusions. When he brought up Trump's friendship with Epstein, it wasn't loud. It was whispered, clinical, inescapable. The image of Epstein at Trump's door wasn't comedic. It was chilling. It felt less like a joke and more like an affidavit. And that's where the blow landed hardest. Trump doesn't sear ridicule. He feeds on it. But Josh didn't ridicule. He revealed. He held up Trump's decades of dirty laundry, made no accusations, and simply let them be seen. That quiet exposure was fatal.
Trump's treating Americans like a kid you can bribe with a treat. Allow me to demonstrate what Donald Trump is going for here. I don't care about pedophilia anymore.
Josh didn't stop at scandals. He turned to language, the very tool Trump uses to manipulate and distract. With brilliant deadpan delivery, Josh showcased how Trump mangles the English language like a toddler on candy. Oranges instead of origins, garbled metaphors, gibberish slogans. In Trump's universe, grammar is a casualty. But Josh framed these gaffes not just as comedy, but as warning signs. Signs of decay. A man who can't form a sentence shouldn't hold nuclear codes. Johnson didn't scream it. He just made you question Trump's basic competence. And when the room laughed, it wasn't just mockery. It was fear hiding in humor. Strip away the noise, and what's left is terrifying. A powerful man who barely makes sense.
Epstein died back in 2019, but not since Tupac Shakur has a dead man dropped so many bangers, all right? Yesterday, video of the government questioning him back in 2010 started making the rounds, and you'll never guess whose name came up. Go ahead, guess.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
As the analysis deepened, Josh turned to Trump's business empire, the golden illusion used to project power. But he didn't need to insult. He simply listed Trump University, a scam. Trump Steaks, a joke. Casinos, bankrupt. It wasn't just a litany of failures. It was a eulogy for a fake legacy. Delivered in the tone of a man reading IKEA instructions, Josh's calm made it devastating. He didn't call Trump a fraud. He just showed the receipts. And somehow, that screamed louder than any insult ever could.
I'll be honest, I've never heard anybody plead anything other than the fifth before. But this guy's so guilty, he's calling out every amendment he can think of. Like, no, what's the one with the women voting? 19, throw that in too. Now, this video is dropping less than a day since we found out Pam Bondi reportedly warned Trump back in May that his name was in the files multiple times. And it just so happens her next appearance was scheduled last night at a summit against...
While pundits bicker on cable news and comedians roar on late night, Josh treated Trump like an outdated laptop. Glitchy, bloated, barely functional. And he didn't try to fix it, he diagnosed it. The tweets, the chaos, the lies, it all came off as a software failure in American leadership. Josh turned Trump into a corrupted file of democracy. From Sharpie storms to misspelled rants, this wasn't satire, it was a system report. And the lack of exaggeration made it all the more damning. Because when someone calmly explains how broken the system is and how Trump represents every bug in it, it doesn't feel like comedy. It feels like a national security briefing.
Don't care about Coke or Trump's health. Don't worry, he's got some true crime for you.
This morning, the Trump administration releasing more than 230,000 pages of records related to the assassination of civil rights icon Martin Luther King Jr.
That's how bad things are for Trump. His back is against the wall so hard, he's releasing more Black history. Be the worst distraction because all he did was remind us that he can declassify thousands of secret files, and people noticed.
Bernice King, the daughter of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., posted this picture on social media with the caption that simply reads, "Now do the Epstein files."
Then came the final insult. Josh didn't treat Trump like a monster. He treated him like an error code. The rallies were reruns. The slogans were pop-ups, the ego, a glitch. Trump's attempts to distract with Obama conspiracies and MLK files weren't strategy, they were flailing. And Josh, with the calm of a weather reporter, laid it all out. Trump wasn't roasted. He was debugged. And the worst part, it worked. Because when someone like Josh, without anger, insults, or profanity, simply lists your failures and smiles, it's no longer a joke. It's a reckoning. And Trump, for the first time, had no comeback, just panic.
Trump knows Epstein so well. They were friends. Trump lived so close to Epstein in Florida that Epstein had to knock on his door and let him know he was on the sex offender registry. Like, that's how close they lived together. He knocked on the door, was like, "Hi, the court has ordered me to notify you that I'm in the area. I have been convicted of a few crimes, and I left my suit jacket over here last night, so..." That's great.
Josh didn't just target Trump's image. He shattered the illusion that it ever existed. Like a calm professor, he pointed out how Trump went from leader of the free world to man shouting at golf balls. No music, no montage, just a simple observation that made Trump's fall feel not dramatic, but sad. As Josh highlighted his post-presidency failures, bans, empty rallies, desperate interviews, it felt like watching a tragic Netflix documentary you didn't realize was a tragedy until it ended. Trump wasn't toppled, he decayed. And Josh didn't push, he just narrated the collapse. The audience didn't just laugh. They faced a truth many had ignored. The emperor didn't lose his crown. He never had one.
Are doing tariffs?
Damn right we are. I ain't scared of shit.
Not even more expensive housing?
Tariffs are off.
But that will increase the trade deficit.
On again.
But what about the price of breakfast?
Off in the morning, on at night.
But Canada is retaliating.
Off with Canada, on with China. We'll go to war with China. I don't give a
Josh, China has nukes.
No tariffs on China.
Then came the line that cracked the foundation beneath Trump's base. If your followers buy a branded Bible and an NFT in the same week, you're not running a movement, you're running an infomercial. That line didn't just burn, it detonated. Johnson wasn't mocking voters. He was exposing the fraud that tricked them. In that moment, the populist mask slipped. This wasn't revolution. It was grift with flags. The crowd gasped. The punchline wasn't funny. It was true. And in Trump's world of exaggeration, truth is lethal. Josh didn't shout. He didn't beg for attention. He just exposed the truth and let it sit there, raw and unfiltered. And suddenly, the mega king had no robe.
So many people that came out and they were like, look, what the whole reason that we joined this MAGA movement, the whole reason that we thought Trump being in office was a good thing is because it would mean more good jobs for Americans. And look, if you genuinely believed that, then I don't. Yeah, I mean, no, I'm not being a. I'm saying, like, if you.
Josh Johnson's satire didn't explode. It echoed deeply. His calm words felt like a quiet storm sweeping through the Trump circus. While defenders screamed fake news and threw tantrums, Johnson's takedown offered no openings. No lies to argue, no spin to distort. Just a series of undeniable truths, stitched together with deadpan clarity. That's what made it bulletproof. It wasn't loud or partisan. It was clinical. And when he casually revealed that Pam Bondi warned Trump his name was in the Epstein files before speaking at an anti-trafficking summit, the laughter stopped. That's when jokes turned to allegations. Satire became indictment. Trump didn't look powerful anymore. He looked scared. And in the end, Johnson didn't declare war. He didn't say, "This ends Trump." He simply pointed out the truth. Trump built his empire on dominance, but Johnson didn't fight it. He dismantled it like a scientist examining a lie. Trump dodged impeachment, subpoenas, and judges, but he couldn't dodge this. Not because it was loud, but because it was precise. Because it made people listen. And when people really listen, without spin, the myth collapses. What's left is horrifying. In a world built on outrage, Johnson's whisper cut deeper than any scream. Trump wasn't just humiliated. He was defined by truth. And the truth, calm and undeniable, is the one thing Trump can't out-tweet, outspin, or outrun. It ends here.